we're talking about meiosis. Meiosis is the cell division where we're dealing with just the sex cells. We're not talking about bone cells or skin cells or anything else. That's mitosis. So meiosis is only dealing with the sex cells. Now for some of you this is review, others this is brand new. So you might want to add some things to your note sheet or write it in completely. So first of all, if we take a look at a human, our original count is 46 cells, right? Half of the chromosomes come from mom, half come from dad. All right, now with this 46, this is known as a diploid. All right, a diploid means that it contains both sets of chromosomes. All right, we represent that by having a 2N. So diploid is simply having full sets of chromosomes. So we're going to take a look now at this right here, this interphase. So during interphase, what happens is we're going to focus on the S phase. S phase is where DNA replicates. So we go from 46 to 92 chromosomes. Then we go into the actual process of meiosis. Now meiosis is very similar to mitosis. If you understand mitosis, meiosis is super easy. There's only 4 things that we're going to talk about that are different, that cause some major changes that are different than mitosis. So first 2 take place in prophase 1. All right, now you notice that there's prophase 1 here. If we take a look, it also goes all the way up down here to prophase 2. What happens is, and one of the main differences is that mitosis, the process of prophase, is happening twice in the process of meiosis, right? And so if we take a look at prophase 1, there are 2 major differences here. The first major difference is that there's something called a homologous pair, all right? So the chromosomes here, one from mom, one set from mom, one set from dad, pair up. So if we take a look at different types of chromosomes, there are certain chromosomes that have certain types of traits, and they will pair up together. So the term homologous means same. The prefix homo means same. So homologous pair of chromosomes are chromosomes with the same genes, right? Now, so those chromosomes pair up. When they pair up like this is known as a tetrad, right? Remember, each chromosome here, this is a centromere. Each one of these is a sister chromatid. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 sister chromatids. So we have a tetrad. This is found only in, it starts forming in prophase 1. Otherwise, everything else is the same as mitosis. You've got your centrioles. They go to the opposite sides of the cell. The spindle fibers form. The nuclear membrane starts to break down. Everything's exactly the same. Now, the second thing that takes place that's different is something called crossing over. Now, in the diagram here, it's kind of hard to see, but crossing over is simply the exchange of DNA from the homologous pair. We look at this, you can see here we have chromosome from dad, chromosome from mom. What happens is a section of chromosome splits. And so I compare chromosomes, these homologous pairs, to encyclopedias. You got World Book and Britannica, and in them they have the exact same information. All right, they talk about the same topics, but if you read each volume, they're not identical. Okay, and so what happens here is, here we take a page from that deals with apple trees, right? If the A volume, and it talks about apple trees, the same information here, and we just flip-flop it. We take it, tear it out from one, and put it in the other book. And so we still are talking about apple trees here, but it's written as if it was in from a different book. So it changes up the DNA. That's why, your brothers and sisters don't look exactly like you. Maybe similar, but not exact. Of course, unless you're a twin of some sort. Now, if we take a look here, the next phases are exactly the same. Meiosis, or metaphase 1 here, we've got, see number-wise, we have 92. They line up in the middle, just like in mitosis. Anaphase, they start to split up. Now, of course, they don't look exactly like mitosis, so we've talked about. That's because of the first part here, the homologous pair, where they start to break up. And then we have telophase 1. Now, after telophase 1, we're going to have telophase and cytokinesis put together. The third major difference is that there is no S phase. All right, so in mitosis, the process goes all over again. It goes back into interphase. We go through the S phase where DNA replicates. There is no S phase after telophase 1 and cytokinesis in meiosis. All right, so what that means is that the molecules don't increase. So if when they get split up here from 92, now in anaphase we got 46 in each of these cells. Well, because there's no S phase, it stays at 46. So that's the third major difference. Now we take a look here as we move along here. Prophase 2 takes place. Now, prophase, meiosis 2, that section, prophase 2, metaphase 2, anaphase 2, and telophase 2, they look exactly like the diagrams we've used in mitosis. That's what it looks like. It looks just like mitosis. The chromosomes, there's no tetrad, right? There's no homologous pairs. They're just chromosomes. So what happens here is we got 46 in prophase 2. Same things happen. Centrioles move to the opposite side. Spindle fibers attach to the centromere. Nucleus breaks down. Now, metaphase 2, same thing. Metaphase middle. They line up in the middle. Anaphase 2, they start to take apart or break apart. When that happens, it's 46 chromosomes here. Now, each half gets broken up so that now each cell after in telophase 2 has only 23 chromosomes. This is known as being haploid. It means it contains only one set of chromosomes. Well, this is important because if these are our sex cells, which is the fourth major difference here. Now, when it comes to the fourth major difference, I want you to focus in down here. It says there are 4 different cells. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. But in mitosis, there's 2. They're different. All right? So we have 4 different cells, and that's because of crossing over that took place. When crossing over takes place, you get 4 cells that are not the same. They're different from one another. Whereas in mitosis, the cells are the same. These cells in meiosis are haploid, which means they have half the number. So a human has a total of 46 chromosomes in every single cell in its body, except for the sex cells. And they are considered haploid. They have half the number, which is 23. Now, these cells, are, like I said, are called sex cells, or also known as gametes. Right? In males, this is sperm, and in females, these are your egg and polar bodies. Now, with the female, what happens is, instead of having 4 egg cells that can be fertilized, what happens is, farther up in meiosis, the cytoplasm is given to just one of the egg cells. So it gets really, really big, and the other ones get really small, and these 3 smaller cells that won't be fertilized are called polar bodies. So, that is meiosis in a nutshell. Well, what about regulation? How do we control how these things take place? Now, this is taking place by something called cyclins. Cyclins are proteins that regulate the cell cycle. Okay? And when the cell cycle gets disturbed, this causes something called cancer. Cancer is simply the uncontrolled cell growth. These cancer cells, they don't have the normal regulatory processes, and so the cells just grow uncontrollably. So here we have a cell that's been growing, lost control, gone crazy. These packets or these bunches of cells are called tumors, right? That's important to understand. So cancer is uncontrolled cell growth, and a tumor is an example of a bunch of cells that are cancerous. Now, cancer cells can be benign or malignant. Malignant cancers are the dangerous ones that break apart and then spread throughout the body. So here we have what's taking a look at cancer. So a cell begins to divide abnormally, right? It gets bigger. And what can happen is it starts to crowd out the rest of the tissue, and it can then get into the bloodstream, in which case, you might have skin cancer, and then next you know, you have cancer in your lymph nodes and in your lungs and in your kidneys, all over the place, because cancer can spread. So what causes cancer? Like I said, it's controlled. The cell cycle is broken down. And this is usually because of some sort of defective gene. All right, so what can cause these genes to become defective? Well, some people are more prone to it than others, but what happens to your body? Like external factors like solar radiation, too much sun, the type of chemicals that you take in or are exposed to. So these are some of the things that can cause cancer. So how do we treat cancer? Well, we can surgery, which removes the tumor itself, radiation, okay, by killing the cancer, and then chemotherapy, which is basically you're taking in poison, and because cancer cells grow really fast, it has a tendency to kill those cancer cells, even though you're damaging other cells in the body as well. Or like it says here, it can also like slow their growth. So that's what we have for today. Study hard. If there's questions, come on in and ask.